All right. I like to start just to make sure I know where my layers are going to be, to kind of follow that line and draw out a few of your layers with a white colored pencil. If you can see them clearly, you may not have to do this, but for some people, yours might be a little bit muddier, a little bit harder to see. But really making sure that we don't ignore any layers is pretty important. We will want those layers to be laid in accurately, but at the same time, I'll then want you to go back in and blend those layers out to where you really can't even tell that they were there. It's more of a roadmap to tell you where to put your colors, and just make sure that your picture will be represented realistically, which is the whole goal, to make it look like you. And that will be more likely the more that you can follow those lines. Now, some areas I'm kind of generalizing, but for the most part, I want to try to stick to these shapes. In the lighter area, obviously, you may not even be able to see my line. I like to start in the forehead, but obviously, you could start anywhere. It's more what you're comfortable with. I like to leave eyes, nose, and mouth separate. I'll show you how to do that later. Right now, just kind of cover that skin tone and get your face rolling. All right, almost done. All right, that's all I'm going to do for now. Just kind of laying out these initial layers helps to have a good sharp colored pencil too. So I need to go sharpen mine before I do a bunch more. Okay, so I'm just going to work up here on this forehead zone right now. Just kind of walk you through it. I'm going to use my same color scheme. I've already completed my sphere. So I'm working black to blue to purple to pink to peach to white. I really don't like using a lot of black, so if I have a dark zone like this, I'll come in with just a hint of black on the edge of it. But I really don't want a lot to influence that. Your lines may not be smooth at first, that's okay, you'll be able to smudge them in later. And now this is where that whole little zone, I'm going to come in with my dark blue and start filling it in. I'm going to cover that black that I just laid down and make sure that I'm hitting this accurately. Now pastels, because they're pretty wide on the end, if you want, you can take a scrap sheet of paper and color down your pastel to get a little bit like a cleaner edge, or you can flip it over and peel the wrapper off. And get a nice like start fresh corner. So I like to draw specifically just with that corner if I'm trying to be really accurate and get a thin line. So that'll help me in the narrow parts. And know that I'm going to be blending these edges, but I just want to get the color laid in at first. Okay, that's a start. It looks a little funky, but it's the beginning. All right, so from here, I've got my blue. I know that I'm gonna go ahead and fade my blue into this next zone here. In this little pink zone, it looks like pink, I'm gonna fade it out just a little bit so I know that it's coming to purple, and then I'll bring that purple and put it right on top. Remember, it's okay to go back and take some of that blue and blend it into your purple, and some more of that purple and blend it into your blue. Next zone is pretty big, so I'm gonna go ahead, if I've got blue on the tip of this, I'm just gonna take it to a scrap sheet of paper and just kind of clear some of that blue off, because I'm gonna get into my lighter colors and I don't want it to contaminate that in any way, so I just find where the spots are and try to color it off. So this whole zone right in here is going to be fading to a pink, and I want to start it off with a hint of purple in it already. Kind of like that, just a touch, so I can kind of see what's going. And then I'll grab my pink. It's got gunk on it already from the last time I used it, so if you want to clear some of that off, but it's purple already, so I'm not super worried about it. It's actually what I'm about to blend into anyway. So then I'll cover it. So this is where now I've got a pretty strong contrast between this zone and my purple and blue blending. So now I'm going to bring my pink into those zones. I'm just going to even take it all the way back to this blue. Using the pastel to kind of soften those edges. Obviously it's going to gunk it up big time, so make sure you clear it before you move into other zones. And then this is a lighter zone here. This next zone, I'm just going to put a little bit of pink and then come with my peach and blend that over top of that pink. The lighter colors will show a little bit more of the board that's underneath. Remember, once you're smudging with fingers, it'll smooth things out a little bit. So be patient until you get to that point. But when I get there, I want to make sure that I'm taking my time and not rushing any of this, because you can get a little out of hand if you're smudging aggressively. So if I get a color in an area where I don't want it, you can use a fingernail and scrape color away, which is great, or I have tools that can do that for you. So just let me know if you get into that problem. All right, a little pink into the skin tone, a little peach into my pink. I just want to layer and kind of build on that. Okay, so that's kind of a zone. I've also got on the back side of this a little bit of a highlight on the far side of the head, which I'll probably do a little bit of pink in. Basically, it's where the light is glowing on the far side. And I like to kind of smudge this in one smooth swoop. That gives it a nice little glow. Okay, I'm going to use another finger here to bring a lot of these together. Another finger here to bring that together. I just basically use a different finger for different colors. If areas are looking weird, not blending well, be patient. I can come back in and show you some tips to how to make them blend a little bit smoother. But that's kind of my start. So I'm going to leave it there for now.